everybody, and welcome to our very first live podcast, guys. We are going to be doing podcasts on this channel now. You can actually go check us out over on Spotify as well if you want to go check out our first two podcasts. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to cover in this live podcast what we covered in our very first podcast over on Anchor. And if you guys want to also go download Anchor, I'll put a link for it in the description of this video. You guys will be able to go download it. And if you want to be a part of a podcast with me, you can go download this app, Favor My Podcast, and you can join into a podcast with me on the app. And we can also link up and do live podcasts as well. You guys can join in and you'll be able to join. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue on this podcast. Now, we were doing a podcast earlier, and as you can see, I have notes here. We were actually doing podcast earlier, and that's loud. I don't need to be doing that, but we were covering pretty much the progression of video games, the whole deal, and point of this podcast and future podcasts is going to be to cover video games and updates of upcoming video games. But what we did in the very first podcast was we actually covered the release dates of the PS5 and the Xbox X Series. So that's what we're going to cover in this live podcast. I don't, unfortunately, have my notes for that, but I believe I remember enough that we can actually just go through and kind of give you a brief little description of what we were talking about in that first podcast. But I'm also accompanied next to me, as you can see, by my cousin Jesse. So we actually have a viewer. Yay! What's going on? Now we are streaming on Streamlabs currently, so if anybody subscribes or anything like that, it'll actually pop up on the screen. You'll see your name. Didn't really have time to go in and change all that to where it's like a cool little pop up, but I'll do that in the future. But anyway, tonight we're just going to be doing our first little live podcast here. Hope you guys enjoy it. We're just going to give this a run. Of course, our next live podcast will be better. We'll have more equipment. We're actually going to set up, we'll have some mics and whatnot set up for that. But tonight we're just going to be winging it, and you guys will hopefully get a good podcast. And if you're viewing and you have any questions, feel free to ask a question while we're in the podcast, and we'll do our best to answer it. But anyway, instead of me just rambling on, let me actually get into what we were talking about. But we were talking about the release of the Xbox X Series, and are we still live? Yes, we're still live. I want to make sure. Alright, so we were talking about the release of the Xbox X Series, and it's going to be releasing basically the same as the PS5 that's coming out. It's going to be releasing around the holidays. I believe around November or December or October was the range of the months that it was going to be released in. The price range is going to be anywhere from what was it, $499 to $500 or $600.
Yep.
Okay. That was on the PS5. The Xbox X Series, I believe, is going to cost a little more. Wouldn't
Like
it?
always.
Yeah, I believe it was going to cost around $5.99. That was the price range on that. Um, we also covered a few. I believe we kind of went off topic a little bit, and we were covering a few video games. We were talking about Modern Warfare or the newest Call of Duty that came out. We were covering that, and we were touching on that a little bit. I'm actually gonna sit here and I'm gonna look up some information on the newest. Because what we'll do is we'll probably actually cover some of the games, some of the we were in the podcast that we were doing tonight. We were talking about some mobile games. We were talking about Call of Duty Mobile, and we were talking about it's a very well developed game to be a mobile app because not only can you play with the standard using your thumbs, but you can also it has controller support and it also has keyboard and mouse support, I believe is what it is. But anyway, I've been kind of rambling. I'm going to go ahead and let my cousin add a few things that he might want to add into the podcast. I think he's going to talk about the current state of some of the games that we've been looking at here. I believe we've got Destiny 2, the Modern Warfare. What was that one?
Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 2. We've got that we're going to be talking about. So, guys, just bear with us. We got plenty of information here, and this is our very first live podcast. So we're just going to give you the best we got here.
All right. It says here that Splatoon 2 was released in July of 2017. And it says that it has the contrast of other games like Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Fortnite. Except for the building.
Right.
Don't like the building. But it says that it also offers a single player campaign called Hero Mode.
Right.
Where you can go and rescue the great Zapfish. Here in 2020, it is, from what I've read, it is still by far one of the most popular online multiplayer games
Right.
to date. And they just recently ended their final Splatfest
Right.
in July of 2019. The 2-year anniversary of when the game was released.
Right. I believe, and like I was telling him earlier in the podcast we were doing over on Anchor, is I believe that really sounds like a game that I would be interested in. I would like to play. I'm all about the open world games, especially the space games. You know, we were also talking about Star Citizen. That seems to be a very, very, very popular game that's streamed on YouTube. Is Star Citizen. Definitely a game that I would play if, of course, if I was able, if I had a PC. But at the current moment, I don't have a PC or any gaming console. That's going to change in the future, though. I want to try to get one of the newest ones that are coming out. But we'll probably touch a little bit too on Destiny 2 because that's a very, very, very popular game. Destiny 2. I've played it. He's played it. We've both had an experience with it. I think we might end this one. Do you think it would be better if we titled it?
No, it's unlisted.
Oh, it's unlisted. Okay. Um, but anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll touch a little bit on Destiny 2. Let's see here. But as far as Destiny 2 goes and my experience with it, it's got really, really good gameplay. And as far as all the updates that they've done to it, they've done a tremendous job with all the updates. He has played the newest update in Destiny 2. I haven't. I played the previous, which was Forsaken. That I got to play that update, but I will let him throw his insight in on the newest update in Destiny because he's played it, so he'll have more information about it than me.
Let's see. Well, let's start. The new update, Shadowkeep.
Yes.
It brings back an old character from Destiny 1
Right.
from the moon. And I haven't touched Destiny 2 in over a month.
Right.
Because I don't really... I haven't had much fun playing it.
Right.
But I'm going to get back into playing it. But what you do in the new updates, you go out to the moon. It's different. It's a lot different than it was on Destiny 1.
Right.
The enemies are different, but it's more in depth.
Gotcha. And Destiny's always been a good game, and I'm sure that it will always be a good game in the future. I'm sure they'll continue to, throw updates into that game and keep it going. I believe it'll be around for quite a while, and I know that that even sticks with Call of Duty. Call of Duty's always going to be a very popular franchise, and I know that I'm pretty positive that it'll never die. It'll always be around because they're making new games every year, every 2 years. We've got the newest one that just come out. It's a great game. I actually got to play a few minutes of it last night after our podcast. I got to experience Modern Warfare, the newest Call of Duty, and it's from what I've seen, other than my gamer rage, because I rage a lot with games. I'm pretty sure everybody out there watching can relate. We've got gamer rage. It happens. But beside all the gamer rage, it was a really good game. I haven't got to experience the campaign in the newest Call of Duty. I'm sure I will, in the near future, I'll get to experience that. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing it again. I'm actually probably going to play it again after this live podcast. So, but anyway, guys, this is not going to be a very long podcast. It's our first one. We're just trying to get ourselves out there in the podcast community. You guys may not like it. We're just doing the best we can. We've got facts in front of us. We're new to it, but I hope you guys do enjoy. I don't currently believe we have anybody watching at the moment, but if you guys do watch this and you do enjoy the podcast, as always, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bell so you'll know when the next time we go live and do a live podcast, because you guys are more than welcome to get into the comment section and ask us questions. We'll answer them to our best ability. We would love to be able to interact with our fans and be able to answer questions live, and hopefully the next one will be better. We're going to try to continue to bring good podcasts, because not only will we be doing live podcasts, but we'll also be uploading podcasts as well to the channel. Now, this is my channel, and I know that I've changed it quite a few times throughout the years. I went from gaming to ghost hunting now to podcast. But I feel that I could be more successful in the podcast community because I've always enjoyed sitting down, talking with you guys, giving you facts, updates on games and whatnot. Um, Now, as far as this channel goes, you will see this guy in every video, every podcast, every live cast. We're going to be basically a joint channel. This is an idea that we both thought of, and he's actually supported me a lot in this. He's helped me with it. He's honestly allowed me to use his home to do this, so I'm greatly appreciative towards him and his wife for letting me do that. And got to throw him a big thank you in the comments because, you know, it's all possible because of him. And I really do appreciate that. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope you guys did enjoy. The next podcast will be... we're going to put in the description of, or in the about section of the YouTube channel. If you want to see the schedule for the podcast, we'll have it there. We're going to go ahead and set a schedule of live podcast and uploaded podcast. So if you guys want that information, just go ahead and look down in the about section of the YouTube channel, and I'll have all that there. But like I said earlier, if you guys are interested and you want to be in a podcast with me, download the app called Anchor, and I will be putting it in the description of this video. But you can download that app and favor my profile on Anchor, and you can be a part of a podcast with me. So if you want to do that, and that even goes for him. If you want to be in a podcast with him, you can look up, or you can download Anchor and find him as well. And you can be in a podcast with even both of us, because we're doing our podcast together. So if you want to jump into a podcast with me and him, feel free if you want to download the app. But I will put a description or I will put the name of the app or a link to it in the description of this video. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next podcast.